You try to focus, but your mind keeps slipping away. You sit down to work, and within minutes, your attention breaks. You've felt this before, the urge to concentrate, followed by the quiet pull of distraction. You start a task, then check your phone. You open a book, then your thoughts wander. You begin a routine, but you don't stay with it for long. And this isn't just your problem. Most people today are losing the ability to do deep work. We live in a time where focus is disappearing. It feels like noise in your head, constant and relentless. Science is clear about this. After a distraction, your brain needs more than 20 minutes to regain full focus. 20 minutes, lost to a single moment of drifting away. But there is a way to train the mind. A way used long before smartphones, long before modern productivity tools, a way that calligraphers and swordsmiths relied on to enter hours of uninterrupted concentration. It's called Shingyō Renshū, Shingyō Renshū. It means mind-action training, a discipline where the mind and the action become one and everything else falls away. Shingyō Renshū isn't about feeling motivated. It's not about forcing yourself to focus. It's about learning to align your mind with what you're doing, fully, quietly, deliberately. And when you understand this practice, you understand why your old methods never worked. You understand why focus can be trained, built, and strengthened. This is where everything begins. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell me in the comments the habit you want to master. Now, back to the story. Chapter 1. The story of Kenji. Kenji had always wanted to be the kind of person who could sit down, focus, and finish what he started. But every day, he slipped into the same cycle. He opened his laptop to work, only to check his phone seconds later. He tried to study, but his thoughts scattered before he reached the second page. He promised himself he would stay focused, yet he restarted the same tasks again and again. At work, the consequences began to stack up. He missed small deadlines, then bigger ones. Co-workers stopped relying on him because he always seemed distracted. His manager pulled him aside more than once, asking why his performance kept declining. Kenji didn't have an answer. Over the next weeks, things got worse. He stayed up late trying to catch up, but ended up scrolling through videos instead. Mornings felt heavy. His mind raced before he even left the house. By lunchtime, he was drained, frustrated, and ashamed. He tried routines. He tried productivity apps. He tried forcing himself to focus. Nothing worked. The noise in his mind never stopped. You've probably felt this too, that quiet panic when you realize you've wasted another hour. Kenji felt it every day. One afternoon, during a team meeting, the embarrassment finally hit him. A coworker asked about a report he had forgotten to finish. Everyone turned to look at him. Kenji froze, unable to give an explanation. He muttered an apology, but inside something cracked. This was his breaking point. Over the next days, he moved through his routines like a shadow. He kept trying to work, but each attempt collapsed within minutes. The harder he pushed, the more scattered he became. His mind felt heavy, and the chaos inside him grew louder. Weeks passed. His confidence dropped. His identity blurred. He began to wonder if he was simply not built for focus. One night, alone at his desk, he stared at a blank document until his eyes burned. He knew something had to change. Not a new app, not a new routine, something deeper. In that quiet moment, Kenji realized the truth. He couldn't keep living this way. Kenji didn't know where to begin, so he started by asking for help. A colleague mentioned an older craftsman who worked in a small studio near the edge of the city. His name was Mr. Sato, a man known for restoring traditional calligraphy pieces with steady, unwavering hands. When Kenji visited the studio, he expected advice about productivity or time management. Instead, Mr. Sato watched him quietly, studying the restlessness in his eyes. After a long pause, the mentor finally spoke. "Your problem isn't focus," he said. "It's alignment." Kenji didn't understand. Mr. Sato walked to a low table and picked up a brush. "This," he said, "is how calligraphers train. Before the brush ever touches the paper, the mind and the action must become one." He set the brush down. This is called Shingyō Renshū, Shingyō Renshū. The word felt unfamiliar, heavy, almost demanding. Mr. Sato continued, "Shingyō means mind, Renshū means training, but together they mean something deeper, mind-action training, the practice of aligning what you think with what you do." He repeated the terms slowly, making sure Kenji heard every syllable. Shingyō Renshū was used by calligraphers who needed to write a single stroke with complete presence. Swordsmiths used it when shaping a blade for hours at a time. They relied on this training to enter deep concentration, because for them, distraction meant failure. Kenji listened, unsure where this was going. Mr. Sato continued. "People today believe focus is a feeling, something that comes and goes. But the old craftsman knew the truth." He leaned forward slightly. "Focus is a discipline, not a mood." The line struck Kenji harder than he expected. Mr. Sato explained further. "Shingyō Renshū teaches you to bring your mind into the exact moment you're acting. No extra thoughts, no wandering attention, no internal noise. Only the task and the identity of the person doing it." Kenji felt the weight of those words. For the first time, he wondered if focus wasn't something he lacked, but something he had never learned to train. "What do I need to do?" he asked. Mr. Sato smiled gently. "You will learn step by step. But understand this. Discipline begins with presence." Kenji felt both challenged and curious. Something inside him shifted, just enough to take the next step. This was the beginning of his real training. Chapter 2. The Fall. Kenji began his training the next morning. He sat at his desk, closed his eyes, and tried to focus on a single task. For 10 seconds he felt calm. By 20 seconds his thoughts wandered. At 30 seconds he reached for his phone without even realizing it. He sighed. Maybe he wasn't built for this. When he returned to the studio, Mr. Sato watched him carefully. "Your mind runs because you've never taught it to walk," the mentor said. "Do not fight the noise. Train it." Kenji tried again that evening. He set a timer for 5 minutes, attempting to work on a report. Within a minute, he clicked another tab, then another. By the time the timer rang, he had written only 1 sentence. He felt defeated, but he didn't quit. Yet deep down, he knew this was harder than he expected. But things were about to get harder. The first steps. When Kenji returned a few days later, Mr. Sato introduced the first exercise. "You will practice Shingyō breathing," he said. "A steady inhale, a slow exhale. Not meditation, not relaxation. Alignment." Kenji followed the instructions. At first it felt pointless, but after several minutes, something shifted. Not silence, but a small reduction in chaos. "This is your first step," the mentor said. "Mind before action." Next came the second exercise. Single stroke practice. Not real calligraphy, just drawing one straight line repeatedly on a page. "One line, one intention," Mr. Sato instructed. "Your mind must follow the movement, nothing else." Kenji practiced at home that night. His lines were shaky. His focus drifted every few seconds, but something about the simplicity grounded him. The following week, he attempted deep work blocks again. For the first time in months, he completed a task in one focused session. It was small, barely 25 minutes, but it was a win. And for the first time, he felt a glimpse of hope. But the next test would challenge him even more. 4. The setback. A major deadline appeared at work. Kenji felt the pressure immediately. Old habits crept back in, tab switching, checking messages, scattered thinking. The stress triggered the familiar spiral. His chest tightened. His thoughts raced. His concentration fell apart. He spent hours at his desk, yet produced almost nothing. When he visited the studio again, Mr. Sato noticed the heaviness in his posture. "You are trying to perform focus," the mentor said. "But focus is not a performance. It is a state you enter through training." "I tried," Kenji said quietly, "but I slipped." Mr. Sato nodded. "Good. Now you understand the reality. Progress is not linear, but the mind learns through repetition." He handed Kenji a thin notebook. Inside, the pages were blank. "This is your Renshū log," he said. "You will record your practice every day, not results, practice." Kenji took the notebook home. The first few entries were short and discouraging. Got distracted. Couldn't stay with the task. Mind was loud. But he kept writing, and slowly the entries changed. Stayed present for 12 minutes. Training felt easier today. Completed a task without breaking focus. Day after day, he practiced. Some days felt like progress. Others felt like failure. But the loop continued. Effort, setback, effort, small improvement. The cycle was real, and he stayed in it. But the real turning point hadn't arrived yet. Canada 5. The progress weeks passed, then months. Kenji's capacity for deep work began to strengthen. He woke earlier, not because he forced himself, but because he wanted more quiet hours for training. At work, he started finishing tasks that used to overwhelm him. A colleague noticed. "You've been different lately," she said. "More focused." Kenji nodded. He felt different. He no longer opened 10 tabs without thinking. He no longer reached for his phone automatically. He no longer felt consumed by mental noise. His Renshū log filled with steady progress. One evening, Mr. Sato introduced a new challenge. "Today," he said, "you will practice Shingyō unification, mind and action moving together for an extended session." The rule was simple. Pick one task, stay with it. No breaks, no switching, no negotiation. Kenji chose a difficult report he had been avoiding for weeks. He began working. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 20. His mind wandered, but he brought it back. His thoughts drifted, but he redirected them. The training took over. For the first time in his life, he entered a deep state of concentration. When he finally looked up, nearly an hour had passed. The report was complete. He didn't celebrate. He simply breathed, steady, calm, aligned. Mr. Sato watched him quietly. "You felt it," the mentor said. That moment when the mind and the action became one. Kenji nodded, and then something inside him clicked. Not a dramatic revelation, not a burst of motivation, a quiet knowing. He didn't realize it yet, but he was finally beginning to change. Mr. Sato waited until Kenji had experienced both progress and struggle before teaching him the deeper structure behind Shingyō Renshū. "Training the mind without a system," he said, "is like sharpening a blade without a whetstone. You need a method." He opened Kenji's Renshū log and drew 3 simple lines. Shingyō Renshū has 3 pillars. Together, they form the discipline of deep work. Pillar 1, Ichinen Shugi, one thought method. One task, one intention, Mr. Sato explained. This pillar teaches the mind to remove extra thoughts. Modern psychology calls this attention gating, choosing one focus and shutting out the rest. Dopamine spikes from switching tasks weaken this gate, but single-task focus strengthens it. You don't need more motivation, Mr. Sato said. You need fewer competing intentions. Kenji applied this to his work immediately. Instead of juggling multiple tasks, he picked one. He wrote it at the top of the page. He trained himself to return to that single intention every time his attention drifted. The effect was small at first, then powerful. Have you ever felt this too? That clarity returns the moment you commit to one thing. This pillar made that clarity possible. Pillar 2, Shingyō breathing mind regulation. The second pillar controlled the inner environment. Breath influences attention, Mr. Sato said. The body is the doorway to a focused mind. He taught Kenji steady, deliberate breathing patterns used by calligraphers before each stroke. Not meditation, not relaxation. Alignment. Simple neuroscience explains why slow exhalations activate the parasympathetic system, lowering internal noise. With less noise, the prefrontal cortex, the center of focus, becomes more active. Kenji began using Shingyō breathing before every deep work session. Over time, he noticed he could enter concentration faster, with less resistance. Be honest, this happens to you too. You try to focus while your mind is still scattered. Breath is the switch that centers you. Our pillar 3, Renshū loop, repetition as identity. The final pillar transformed behavior into identity. Repetition trains the mind, Mr. Sato said, but identity sustains it. Neuroplasticity is simple. What you repeat becomes who you are. Habit loops strengthen neural pathways until the action feels natural. The Renshū loop required 3 steps. 1. Begin with intention. Name the task. 2. Enter alignment, breathing and presence. 3. Act without interruption, even for a short duration. Repeat this loop daily, and deep work becomes part of your identity, not a forced state. Kenji wrote every loop in his log. At first, the entries were short and uncertain. Then they became consistent, then confident. This pillar didn't just improve his focus, it changed his sense of self. Together, the 3 pillars formed a simple framework. One thought, one breath, one continuous action. Shingyō Renshū wasn't mystical or abstract. It was practical, trainable, repeatable. And now, Kenji finally understood what Mr. Sato meant all along. The shift didn't happen overnight, but it was unmistakable. What began as a daily struggle slowly became a practiced rhythm, something steady and grounded. Kenji no longer approached work with dread. He approached it with intention. Phase 1, small wins. The first signs were simple. He woke up without hitting snooze. He opened his laptop and stayed with one task at a time. He paused to breathe before every session, aligning mind and action. His Renshū log filled with quick notes. 12 minutes, no breaks. Stayed clear through the drift. These small wins mattered. They built confidence quietly, without fanfare. A calm mind is a strong mind. Co-workers noticed he seemed more composed in meetings. He answered questions with clarity. He no longer scrambled through tasks at the last minute. Still, the deeper test hadn't arrived. Phase 2, medium progress. Months passed. Kenji developed a routine that felt natural, not forced. He blocked distractions before starting work. He entered deep focus sessions with ease. He finished projects days before deadlines instead of hours after them. His manager pulled him aside one afternoon. "You've changed," she said. "Whatever you're doing, it's working." Kenji didn't brag. He simply nodded. He knew the truth. Discipline creates freedom, but life always tests what you've learned. Phase 3, the major breakthrough. A high-stakes project landed on Kenji's desk, one that previously would have overwhelmed him. Multiple departments depended on his work. The pressure was real. Old habits tried to return, the anxiety, the urge to multitask, the automatic reach for quick distractions. But this time he stopped. He closed his eyes. He breathed the way Mr. Sato taught him. Then he chose one intention and entered the Renshū loop. Minutes passed, then hours, then days. He stayed calm. He stayed present. He stayed aligned. When the project was completed, the leadership team praised him for its precision and depth. One colleague said, "I don't know how you stayed so focused. I would have fallen apart." Kenji smiled. He knew why. This was his turning point. Phase 4, long-term stability. What was once difficult had become natural. He worked in flow for extended blocks. He handled unexpected stress without breaking. He chose discipline over distraction, consistently, quietly, confidently. His friendships improved. His evenings felt lighter. He no longer carried the mental fog that once consumed him. Most importantly, he felt a change inside. He wasn't chasing focus anymore. He wasn't fighting distraction. He wasn't performing discipline. He had become the kind of person who concentrates. Identity beats motivation. He remembered how chaotic his mind used to be, and how far he had come. And in that realization, he understood. This time, he stayed in control. Kenji's journey wasn't about achieving perfect focus. It was about becoming someone who no longer ran from the work that mattered. He learned that discipline isn't built in rare moments of motivation. It's built in ordinary moments. The quiet repetitions, the small choices, the decision to return to the task even when the mind wanders. Shingyō Renshū had shown him something simple and undeniable. When the mind aligns with the action, distraction loses its power. That was the real lesson. It wasn't about calligraphy or swordsmithing. It wasn't about ancient traditions. It was about the truth those craftsmen understood, that your identity shapes the way you move through the world. Kenji finally understood this, and it changed everything. You've probably felt this too, the frustration of drifting away from the work you want to do, the weight of unfinished tasks, the noise that follows you everywhere. But the truth is the same for you as it was for him. Focus is not a gift. It's not luck. It's not something reserved for a chosen few. Focus is trained. Presence is trained. Discipline is trained. And Shingyō Renshū is simply a way to practice that training, one moment at a time. Kenji reached a point where deep work wasn't something he tried to force. It became part of who he was. And that is the shift that matters most. The shift from effort to identity. Because once your identity changes, your actions follow naturally. This is the truth he learned, and it's the truth you can apply too. Discipline becomes real the moment you decide to live it. Kenji's journey showed one simple reality. Deep work isn't about pressure, talent, or motivation. It's about training the mind until focus feels natural, until discipline feels like who you are. Shingyō Renshū gave him a path, not dramatic, not mystical, but practical and steady. A path built on presence, intention, and quiet repetition. A path anyone can walk. And now, his lesson becomes yours. 3 lines, 3 truths, 3 reminders to return to the person you want to be. Focus builds strength. Discipline shapes identity. 1 task, 1 life. Before you go, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell me in the comments what habit you're working on. Now, back to your journey.